Sports Desk at the Columbus Dispatch presents the BuckeyeXtra Basketball Podcast. With your host, Ohio State basketball beat writer Adam Jardy.
Brady Batiste says, "Give me the rock." Here it goes. Up and away. Slam jam bam. And now he does a little dance.
Now, the BuckeyeXtra Basketball Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch. Today is now Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. And it's my official duty to welcome you into episode 514 of the BuckeyeXtra Men's Basketball Podcast. Welcome to Jubilation City. Welcome to the Jerome Schottenstein Center. I'm here in the media room, a couple hours removed from Ohio State's Big Ten home opener. Final tonight from the arena that soon will no longer be known as Value City Arena. Number 13, Illinois 88, Ohio State 80. Now the Buckeyes fall to 7-2 overall, 1-1 in the Big Ten. Illinois moves to 8-2 overall, 1-0 in the Big Ten, and kind of an odd game to really break down. This was a game that, Bruce Thornton carried Ohio State as much as he possibly could. I think this game, we'll see ultimately where this season ends up, but this game typifies like the first 3 years for Bruce Thornton at Ohio State in some ways, where you really can't ask for much of anything else from him. And in the end, it just still was not enough for Ohio State to pull off what would have been an upset. Ohio State was I believe, opened as a 3.5 point underdog at home. And that, I think I saw this morning, increased to 4.5 points by the time Tuesday morning rolled around. But Bruce Thornton just had a game and certainly had a half. And the guy finished with 34 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists on a night when Ohio State shot 45.9% from the floor, 32.1% from three, and trailed for 34 minutes and 42 seconds. Bruce Thornton had 24 of Ohio State's first 34 points. He made his first 9 shots. The crowd was chanting his name and standing by the time he fired off his 10th shot, which was his first miss, and that came late in the first half. He was just on one. And at the same time, he got very little help for long stretches of the game. And Illinois just looked like the better team. And in spite of that, Ohio State was in position a couple of times to potentially take control or to certainly put some more real game pressure on the Illini, but came up empty time after time, mostly due to poor shot selection in critical moments, the occasional defensive inability to get a rebound, and just a brutal pace to this game. It was just a march to the free throw line. And this is not a partisan complaint that, this team was, worked over by the refs. And Ohio State was called for 27 fouls. Illinois was called for 21. So maybe that is a little bit one-sided, but you end up playing at home, watching an Illinois team make 8 more free throws than Ohio State attempted. The Illini went 29 of 32 from the free throw line. It's a 90.6% clip. Ohio State was 15 of 21 from the line, 71.4%. The Buckeyes actually came in as the better free throw shooting team. Ohio State on the season shooting 77.8% leading into this game, and Illinois was at 77%. So it was a very slight margin. As I look at it, Ohio State had made 3 more free throws than Illinois and attempted 2 more. So just a slight little advantage there. But my goodness, the new fan participation thing at the arena, you probably remember last year where they had to hit a certain number of assists. And if they did, then everybody won free chicken. And then that led to a situation where Ohio State was holding the ball at the end, despite having 14 assists, and fans booing even as they were salting away like a big win. And we talked about it. I wrote about it. And that's changed this year. Now it's like you see in a lot of arenas where the opposing team has to miss 7 free throws. And every time they would go to the free throw line, the PA announcers will say, "Oh, they're bricking for chicken. It's 7 to go." And then Illinois was 11 of 11 in the first half. I forget how many in a row the Illini made, but you could hear the weariness in the voice by the end of the game to where they're not going to miss 7 free throws. We all know it. I can't even exhort you to try to get super loud because, goodness, that was a clinic from the free throw line. And it really did prove to be a significant difference in this game. But it also completely destroyed any sort of flow. There was no stretch longer than 2.5 minutes in the second half where there was not a foul called. There were a couple of possessions. There was a possession in the first half. Ohio State had the ball. Devin Royal missed a 3, but Christoph Tilley got fouled in the offensive rebound. And then on the attempted inbound play, Illinois was called for another foul. Then the ball went out of bounds, and then Devin Royal got fouled. You had 3 fouls in the span of 6 seconds right there. And this is with Illinois leading 26-20 at this point. And then there was another stretch. I've got to find this real quickly here, where Devin Royal got fouled 3 times in, I believe it was like 4 seconds during the second half. Yeah, Ohio State was down 61-55. Devin Royal was fouled by Zvonimir Ivisic, and then he was fouled again by Jake Davis, and then he was fouled again and went to the free throw line and made both sides of the 1-and-1 to pull Ohio State within 4. But with 11:39 to go in the second half, both teams were in the bonus. And it was Illinois that ended up benefiting primarily. The Illini 18-21 from the line in the second half. Ohio State 11 of 16. And some of Ohio State's misses were surprising. We're going to talk about John Mobley in a minute. He had another rough go here for Ohio State. Christoph Tilley missed 2 free throws. It was 0 of 4 from 3. We got a couple of things to get into here with this team, but the primary takeaways from post-game interviews and from what we just watched was that, yes, Ohio State lost by 8, and Ohio State lost at home, but the Buckeyes had chances. There were opportunities for this team to tie the game, take the lead, go from a 1-point lead to a 3-point lead, put some real game pressure on the Illini, and they just couldn't do it. And often it was poor shot selection. And so I want to break down like 1 or 2 segments of the game to kind of illustrate that point. And then I want to talk about John Mobley. I want to talk about Devin Royal, and we'll see where the rest of this goes as we now get ready to flip the page and look ahead to West Virginia. Ohio State will go to Cleveland on Saturday to play the Mountaineers up in the Cavs arena. We'll get more into that here in a bit, but or probably not. Probably won't talk about that a whole lot, to be totally honest. Sorry, it's late, and I'm on like my 5th Coke Zero of the night, and my brain's a little scattered. But you look at this game, and like I said, one of the main things that Jake Diebler said was how they had opportunities, and they just the shot selection was poor when they got into some of those moments, and that in ways that has been a little atypical for how Ohio State has played for most of the season to this point. I would question some of the shot selection against Pitt. But for the most part, I feel like they have generally taken the shots, decent shots when they've been in tight moments. This game, just not really one of them. Ohio State, having trailed for most of the first half, went ahead 34-33 when Bruce Thornton hit his 9th shot. This gave him 24 points. He was 9 of 9 from the floor. Then Ohio State gets the ball back. Devin Royal grabbed a rebound. They bring the ball up the court. And John Mobley fires off a pretty quick 3. Doesn't fall. Illinois comes down, also misses a 3-pointer. And now Bruce had a heat check here. And I think when he has 24 of 34 and he's 9 of 9, I think a heat check is probably forgivable. So he takes kind of a quick 3. It doesn't fall. Illinois ends up going on a quick 11-0 run here to basically close the half. You had a 3-pointer from the right wing from Zvonimir Ivisic, and then a 3-pointer from Kylan Boswell, and then Amari Bynum fouled Tomislav Ivisic. He hits both free throws, and then Keaton Wagler. I'm going to go with Wagler. He makes a 3-pointer like literally while falling down. 11-0 run for Illinois. They score on 4 straight possessions after Ohio State had taken the lead. And during that stretch, Ohio State had, while it was in the bonus and while fouls were being called fairly liberally, John Mobley 3-point miss, Bruce Thornton 3-point miss, Devin Royal missed a mid-range jumper, Christoph Tilley fired off a 3 that he missed, And then Devin Royal missed a layup, shot that he's going to make. I think 9 times out of 10, this is the one time he didn't make it. I thought maybe Illinois' length bothered him a bit. And that becomes an 11-0 run. Now, Royal would hit a 3, and then Junie would hit a 3. It was the only 3-pointer of the game. That pulled Ohio State within 4 to kind of stop the stretch. But here was another segment here. Ohio State has trailed by 10, got it to 4, and now the Buckeyes are down 6. After Bruce Thornton gets called for a foul, Illinois has 2 free throws with 38.6 seconds left. Christoph Tilley gets whistled for a moving screen with 13.5 seconds left. So that's a turnover. Ohio State did not turn the ball over a ton. As I look at it now, actually, Ohio State only had 6 turnovers in this game. Illinois scored 8 points off those 6 turnovers. And in this case, Tilley turns it over, and then Devin Royal commits a foul with 5.3 seconds left. Wagler, sorry, people. He hits both free throws with 5.3 seconds left. Ohio State's down 8. Now, they did call timeout, drop a nice full-court play, and got a Devin Royal layup at the buzzer that cut it to 6. And that got a little bit of momentum going for Ohio State, allowing the Buckeyes to get back to even. It was 53-53 on a Bruce Thornton drive in traffic. And then here's where the rebounding comes in. Avicic, this was Tomislav, misses a 3-pointer, then is able to get the long rebound. And it keeps the possession alive. The ball gets kind of moved around a little bit, and then they throw a pass to Andrei Stojakovic, who draws contact from John Mobley in the paint, scores, and won. 15:39 to go, 3-point play. The Illini are back up 3. Ohio State secures that rebound, and it was a loose ball. Ohio State gets that rebound. Maybe it's a different story. Like Bruce Thornton going back up the court, having just tied it. He's like got his feet motioning with his hands, like getting the crowd into it. Smallest crowd for a Big Ten game in the history of this arena, by the way. The Buckeyes only drew 9,974 fans through the turnstiles on this game. So Ohio State gives up that 3-point play. And then they get a good look for Christoph Tilley in the corner, but he misses it. And Ohio State gets the ball back. Brandon Knoll gets 2 points on a goaltending call. Actually, it was interesting. Brad Underwood was pretty furious in that moment because it did look like Knoll shot an air ball and got his own air ball and then put it in or then put it up and got the goaltending call. They must have ruled that he didn't shoot it. It just slipped out of his hand. But Underwood was pretty fired up about that. Ohio State still forces a miss, down 1. And now here's a long segment. Tilley gets fouled while on a pass from Brandon Knoll that would have been a turnover. So kind of a bailout foul there for sure. And then Thornton gets fouled, doesn't go to the line, but then Mobley misses a 3-pointer. And then at the other end, Illinois is able to match up Zvonimir Avicic, all 7'2", 250 pounds of him, against Gabe Cupps down low, all 6'2", 180 pounds of him. And he buries Cupps under the bucket, and he scores. It's a 3-point deficit for Ohio State. Then you have another segment where, so then Bruce Thornton misses a 3. It just kind of rims out. It was a good-looking shot. Can't argue with it. Ohio State can't get off the defensive end here until Gabe Cupps draws a foul after a couple of fouls in that play. Messy possession. Tilley misses another 3. This was kind of a quick one. And then Stojakovic drives. It's back to 5. And there were just so many moments like this, seemingly, where they could not get that extra stop that they needed. And the final example, down 79-76 after a Devin Royal bucket with 1:19 to go. Illinois calls timeout with 1:09 left. And Ohio State plays, on this point, Ohio State played pretty good defense on this possession, only for the ball to end up in the hands of Tomislav Avicic, who gets a 3-pointer from like the left corner. It hits the front of the rim, but has the right spin on it, bounces up, falls through. Timeout with 44.7 seconds left. It's over at that point. It was a 6-point deficit. But you just had multiple moments in this game, and Jake Diebler talked about this, where Ohio State got within shouting range, got within striking distance, like just needed that one more play and never could do that. And so I think there are obviously positives to take from that. The end of the day, this is a really good Illinois team. And I think on the whole, Ohio State played better than it did in the Pitt loss. There's not too many teams that are going to lose to Illinois this year and look back on it and say, man, I can't believe we lost to that team. That Pitt loss, I think, is going to stink all year. But this was a game at home where you felt like if you're Ohio State, you had chances and you just couldn't find a way to get over that hump, to turn that 1-point deficit into a 3-point lead, and you get a stop, and now you got a chance to get something rolling. Like, they never were able to get over that. And I think some of that is certainly credit to the Illinois roster and the talent level on that team, because I think it is really high. I've been high in the Illini all offseason. I think Brad Underwood is proving himself as one of the best coaches in the Big Ten. Certainly, especially when you consider the transfer portal era and having to rebuild every year and reimagine things. Like, he's one of the very best in the Big Ten at that. And so I think that also makes it sting a little bit more for Ohio State. You're playing at home, and you had chances. Get 2 more stops, 2 more rebounds, maybe move the ball a little bit better, and don't force it, or don't take an early contested 3 without getting a paint touch. Like, things they've talked about pretty consistently. Could be a different story. This could be a type of win where now you've won 2 in a row in the Big Ten. You're going to play West Virginia this weekend. You could be ranked next weekend. Like, that would have been on the table for Ohio State. Instead, now they'll go up to Cleveland to face, a not very good West Virginia team. The Mountaineers are 8-3 overall, and best win for the Mountaineers is a 71-49 home win against Pitt. Yikes. Pitt, by the way, just lost to Hofstra on Sunday at home to drop to 5-5 on the season. So I'll get to a few more thoughts here on this game in just a second. I just realized I should remind you that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts. If you subscribe, you'll automatically get the newest ones just as soon as our man Patrick Flaherty, the Podfather, can grab them and publish them. While you're subscribing or downloading, please leave a review. Please click 5 stars, and please consider telling a friend. Thanks to everyone who's taken the time to do all those things. And thanks everyone. I ran into a couple of fans of the podcast at the game here today, and I got a really nice message from Spencer S. on Instagram. We ran into each other at the Ohio State Cincinnati exhibition game a couple years ago at UC, and just really cool to get to cross paths with a couple of people and have those types of conversations, and just get to know each other a little bit. So appreciate everyone who is taking the time to do all those things and leave reviews and all everything. So appreciate all of you. All right, so I didn't write this as one of my takeaways because I'm trying not to have my takeaways always be like 2,000 plus words. I can break some of that up into different stories, and then I can go a little bit longer on things instead of trying to hit 8 topics in one story. But I'm wondering about. I guess I'm trying to make certain how I feel about Devin Royal on the wing, because it feels like certainly there's been an uptick in a couple of categories, but it also feels like for the production that Ohio State's getting, it feels like something is missing with him out there. You look at some of his numbers at Ken Pom. I mean, he did go 1 of 6 from 3 in this game. So he was shooting 44.4%. He's down to 39.4%, but he's still almost eclipsed his 3-point shooting total from last season. He was 16 of 58 last year, and that was after just a brutal start. But he finished at 27.6% from 3 last year. He was 33.3% in the Big Ten, but he's 13 of 33 now, 39.4%. His offensive rating is actually slightly above what it was last year. Ken Pom calculates this. I can't get into all the details of it, but 116.8 last year. It's 118.5 right now. His effective field goal percentage is up from 55.4 to 58.2. His assist rate is up. His turnover rate is up. Some of that's come from them asking him to do a little bit more playmaking. But you look at some of the other things. His free throw rate is down. His fouls drawn per 40 minutes is down. It was 5.2 last year. It's 4.4 this year. Free throw rate last year, 53.2. This year, 38.4. His 2-point field goal percentage is down from 59% even last year to 57.5% this year. His free, as far as like just his free throw percent, he's shooting 85.7% from the line. Like, Devin's shot looks so much improved from where he came in and where he was last year, you can see the growth. You can see how much he has worked on that, and you can really see the payoff. Like I said, I know he's 1 of 6 in this game, but I know I talked about the 3-pointer that he hit in the corner against Northwestern, but like that was a big time late game shot that really helped bury the Wildcats. And I don't think Devin Royal last year probably makes that shot. He certainly doesn't as a freshman. You see him growing and certainly adding some of these elements to his game. But I think what concerns me is that it's clear he's not yet figured out the rebounding thing. And one of the big things that went into the decision to move him to the 3 was not only to take advantage of his shooting and some of these growing areas of his game, but by having him at the 3 and then Brandon Knoll or Amari Bynum at the 4 and Christoph Tilley at the 5, they can play big. And that gives them more positional size to where you don't have someone who's 6'4 or 6'3 on the wing. You have a 6'6 guy who's also a proven scorer down low. Well, this year, Devin's rebounding numbers have dipped. He was a 19.3% defensive rebounding rate last year. It's 13.6 right now. He was at 9.6 offensive rebounding percentage last year, 6.1 this year. And you look at like some of these recent games, he had 8 rebounds in the opener against IU Indy. He had 3 offensive rebounds in that game. He had 1 offensive rebound against Purdue Fort Wayne. He didn't play against Appy State with the hip injury. He had 1 offensive rebound against Notre Dame, finished with 6 in that game. He had 10 rebounds and 10 points against Western Michigan, 2 offensive boards. He had 1 offensive rebound against Mount St. Mary's. In the Pitt loss, he had 2 rebounds. They're both defensive rebounds. At Northwestern, 4 rebounds. In this game, 3 rebounds. He's clearly not as effective on the glass at this point compared to what we have seen the last couple of years, or certainly what we saw last year. So I asked him about that. We talked to Bruce Thornton and Devin Royal after the game, and I just asked Devin about getting used to being out there. And like, is it different to rebound from the 3 compared to the 4? And he said, usually when I'm down there in the post, I can turn around and they're right there hitting me. He said, I've got to turn my head quicker and go pursue it instead of just standing there. It's been an adjustment, but we're working on it every single day. I'm confident. And I said, just in general, like, how do you feel about the transition? Like, where do you think you're, about the shots you're getting and the kinds of shots you're getting? He said, I'm confident. I work on it every day. My shots are going to fall. That's all I can really think about. Just keep working at it. I asked Diebler about Devin adapting to rebounding from the 3. He said, you've got to maximize that motor when the shot goes up. And you've got to fly in, kind of like they had a couple of guys do tonight. How many times do we see guys rebound against Ohio State from the wing? I feel like the number of times in a given game where somebody comes crashing in from the perimeter and is the one guy in the middle of the paint that is able to grab that rebound and keep a possession alive. I mean, is it 20 times for the opponent and compared to 1 time for Ohio State? Like, it almost never happens for Ohio State, it feels like. So Diebler said, as far as Devin goes, he said he's got to offensive rebound for us. We have high-level rebounding accountability that we chart every single time we play. He said it's an area for him that he's got to get better at quickly. It takes great motor to be an elite offensive rebounder from the perimeter. He said he can do it. He's shown an ability to do it really, really well, but that's the biggest thing for him. He's just got to step up and do what he's done for us most of the time this team's been together. So it's clear that's not there right now. And I think that is certainly impacting some of his effectiveness. I think it's just, I don't know if like the trade-off of maybe he's getting a few fewer rebounds, but he's hitting more threes. Like there's probably like an analytic in there somewhere to convert those two or pit those two against each other. Because if he's going to shoot 40% from 3 and knock down a couple per game, maybe you do give up a rebound or 2 to have that out there. But it felt maybe just a little more noticeable, I guess, on a night when his shot wasn't falling, and on a night where Ohio State had to battle like crazy on the glass. And I didn't think they were terrible rebounding wise. I mean, they were out rebounded 37-30. But I did think like guys battle. I mean, Christoph Tilley did have 8 rebounds despite struggling to shoot. Again, going 0-4 from 3. It's like he had 13 and 8. Brandon Knoll didn't really give him a whole lot. He had 5 and 3, played 21 minutes. And then Bruce Thornton had, like I said, 6 rebounds. So 14 of Ohio State's 30 rebounds came from its 7-foot center and its 6'2" point guard. Something to keep an eye on. If Ohio State's able to maximize its rebounding capabilities with Devin on the 3, or if by moving him to the 3, are they weakening themselves too much on the glass, or is his perimeter game making up for some of that? To be determined. But I did find, last thing on this, I asked Brad Underwood about it. If you think about back to last year when these teams played in Illinois, and Devin had 29, and he did go 3 of 6 from 3, so that impacted some of it. But that was going 3 of 6 from 3 and playing as an undersized 4, or even, I guess, occasionally an undersized 5. Like Sean Stewart had the flu in that game. I still remember Aaron Bradshaw getting an offensive rebound, putting it on the deck, and then getting called for a charge against a guy who was literally like a foot shorter than him. Like, they did not have much going in the way of an interior presence, and Devin Royal had 29 in that game. So I asked Underwood about like preparing for Devin compared to last year, and he said, quote, "He was a pain in the butt as a 4-man, to be very honest, and he caused us some problems last year. He made a bunch of threes against us. That area of his game has grown. We felt like if he went to some post-ups against us, we had enough size, could crowd the paint a little bit. We were concerned about him shooting 44% from 3, not giving him clean looks. We wanted them to be all hard and contested. We felt like that was a good matchup for us." Now, the other like stat I want to really look at right now is, or the, I guess, other player right now is John Mobley Jr., because this to me was his biggest struggle of a game. I felt like there were multiple times where certainly, yeah, he would take maybe an ill-advised 3-pointer. You know he's going to do that from time to time. He had a couple of critical fouls. He missed free throws. Like, Mobley is a guy who historically is an elite free throw shooter. And I shouldn't even say historically. He is an elite free throw shooter. But you can see right now that, like, he's going through it. As a freshman, he shot 88.2% from 3, or from the free throw line, rather. And right now, for Ohio State, he's down to 75.8%, which is still, I mean, it's not terrible by any stretch. But in his last 3 games, this starts with him injuring the ankle at Pitt, because he injured the ankle, went to the free throw line, missed 2 free throws, and then did not return to the game. They limped off after that, and that was the end of his game there. So obviously that's a thing. The ankle injury impacted him, certainly in that game. At Northwestern, he was 1 of 2 from the line. And in this game, he was 2 of 6 and missed both at one point, like early in the game. So you're talking about a guy who's borderline 90% free throw shooter, who in his last 3 games right now is 3 for 10. You expect that's going to bounce back and that's going to get better. It looks like a little bit mental for him right now, but that also seems to be spilling over to his shot. Prior to the injury, he hadn't made fewer than 2 3-pointers in a game. And he's a guy that's going to take quite a few. You go down to stat line, starting at the beginning of the season, 2 of 8, 5 of 9, 2 of 5, 2 of 5, 2 of 7, 4 of 9 against Mount St. Mary's. Against Pitt, he was 1 of 3 before the injury. At Northwestern, 1 of 5. And now in this game, 1 of 6. So that in his last 3 games, he's 3 for 14, which probably would indicate that like he's due for a breakout here soon. That's probably he's too good of a shooter to shoot like this. I think you can objectively say that. We've seen enough of his game over the years, and certainly last year, to where he's a much better shooter than that. So I asked Diebler about it, because it also looks to me like he's not shooting. He's almost kind of flinging the ball. And Diebler said that he's pressed a little bit at times. He said it's a very fine line because part of his confidence is a gift. But my challenge has always been for him is to be a complete player. And the biggest thing we talk about is don't try to get it going with really hard shots. If he were only a shooter, it might be a different conversation. Said, I believe in his playmaking. We've been over like all this stuff here that like they believe in him as a playmaker. They want to put the ball in his hands. Like all those things are part of his game. It's not just that they believe he can shoot, and it's not just that he's proven that he can shoot. Like he's shown them that he can do lots of other things. But I did find this one line from Diebler's answer interesting. He said, the biggest thing transition from freshman to sophomore year is we've got to make those split-second decisions earlier in the game better. He said to his credit, he adjusted in the second half. I thought his defense was better in the second half. I agree. I thought that he did. He's shown some improvement there at that end of the court. But like there's another stretch here where, again, like Ohio State just couldn't quite get over that hump. Down 66-62 with 9 minutes to go in the game. Ohio State gets the ball back after Illinois misses a shot, and Mobley draws a foul with 8:54 to go and misses both free throws. Could have cut it to 2, doesn't cut it to 2. Then down at the other end, he gets whistled for a foul trying to guard Andrei Stojakovic. He hits both free throws. So in the span of 13 seconds, he misses 2 free throws and then fouls a guy who then makes both free throws. 4-point swing just like that. Like there were just a lot of moments like that. And I mentioned the 3-point play when Ohio State was tied at 53 and he ends up getting called for the foul with 15:39 to go there. There was another play where the ball was loose. I should mention too, he did take a charge like 2 possessions before he missed the 2 free throws. When Ohio State was within 73-68 after he had a really nice dish to Christoph Tilley for an easy bucket, Illinois misses a 3 from the corner, and the ball is like all kinds of loose. Like Tilley dives for it, it pops up in the air. It's right near the bait or the sideline, and he ended up pushing the guy. It was like a 2-handed push, and I think it was just like kind of caught in between, and you're trying to get to the ball, and there's a lot going on. But that 2 free throws for the Illini, and that pushed it back to 7 with 4:45 to go. Then Bruce Thornton actually airballed a 3 on the next possession. But then like you do see the good where here's a perfect example, like the good and the bad. After that foul and Thornton misses the airball or airballs the 3-pointer. Illinois turns the ball over on a travel. They come out of the timeout. Mobley scores on a drive to the bucket with the shot clock winding down, cuts it to 5. Ohio State gives up a 3, and then Mobley misses a kind of a quickish 3. And you just a rough go all around. Again, don't really know 100% how healthy he is, but on a night when Bruce Thornton gets you 34, 6, and 6, and you have a chance to take down the number 13 team in the country on your home court, there's quite a few reasons why that didn't happen. And it's not just Devin Royal. It's not just John Mobley. Christoph Tilley right now, 0 of 4 from 3 in this game, which drops him now 4 of 29 on the season. That's 13.8%. And I feel like I've said this a couple of times. Like he shot 31.5% last year. He was 17 of 54. I don't think he's going to shoot 13% because it's not even like, it's the level of competition. Like he's missing wide open shots right now. He did oddly leave the game early in each half and like asked to come out and like being looked at by the trainers. So not sure how that foot is doing overall. But Diebler was asked about Tilley's shooting. He said, and I think I'll probably leave you with this because then it's time to get out of here and get some sleep. But he said, first off, he's got to do a better job just focusing on the next possession. He's playing frustrated at times. He's a veteran. He's just got to focus on what's ahead. He said, if you look back last year, Devin struggled early in the year from 3. He battled through that and shot at a high clip the rest of the season. We don't want him out there firing up contested ones, but open ones where he's shooting with confidence, absolutely. That's the biggest thing. Don't hesitate. Be aggressive. Be confident. He said he's not going to shoot and make them all the rest of the year, but he just can't play frustrated. He said, I think he was in a better place health-wise. He deserves a lot of credit for what he's been battling through. He spent a lot of time to get healthy, and he'll break through here soon. Good time would be this weekend as Ohio State goes to play West Virginia on a neutral court. Mountaineers are 114th in adjusted offensive efficiency and 41st in defense. Teams are shooting 36% from 3, only 41.3% from 2. And most recently, the Mountaineers, tonight, took down Little Rock 90-58 at home. They have losses in a neutral court game to Wake Forest and the neutral court games to Clemson and Xavier. So, like I said, now a good time to wrap this one up. I feel like these are starting to go a little bit longer. than they used to. Hopefully that's okay with you all. If you have feedback, if you're not liking how this is going this year, if you want to see me institute something different, let me know. As always, you can send along your questions, your comments, your love notes, your hate mail, and otherwise constructive criticism to me at Adam Jardy on Twitter or ajardy@dispatch.com. Thanks again for listening. Thanks to Patrick Flaherty, the Podfather, for getting this out there. I'm not planning to podcast between now and the West Virginia game. And the West Virginia game might be kind of like it was last weekend. It might end up being a Sunday evening podcast for Monday because that game is a 8 p.m. tip in Cleveland. And then my youngest guy, Owen, has his last hockey game of the season the next morning at 8:30 here in Columbus. So if I can save myself 45 minutes to an hour, I might take that, and then I will record on Sunday. So just stay subscribed, and then it'll just pop in your phone or tablet or wherever you listen to things. But I would say most likely look for that Monday morning. So until then, be kind, take care, and we'll talk soon.
Be sure and subscribe to the Buckeye Extra podcast in the iTunes Store, the Google Play Store, or on Stitcher.